Welcome to the Daily Objective brought to you by the Ayn Rand Centre UK. I'm joined today by a special guest, Linda Cordair, who, as you can see, has a lot of beautiful art behind her. And that's what we're going to talk about today, art and its importance in our lives. So Linda and her husband, Quent Cordair, have two beautiful galleries, one in Napa, California, one in Jackson, Wyoming. But to begin, let's plunge right into the topic and talk about why is art so important to our lives? Why is it important to surround yourselves with beautiful paintings, beautiful sculptures? Linda, welcome. And can you tell us a little bit about your philosophy of why art is so important to human life?
Absolutely. Good morning. And thank you all for having me. Big fan, big supporter, obviously. And imagine for just a second the space behind me with nothing, just white walls. Much less interesting, much less inspirational. And my life's mission is to make sure that people find beautiful art that they want to live with because it is so important. We're surrounded by art almost everywhere we go, and sometimes we don't think about it. But when you find yourself in a stark environment without, and it feels vastly empty and meaningless, being able to have pieces around you in your personal space, in your office space, in your children's rooms that uplifts and gives you that feeling of life is good, is so much better than just a blank wall, staring at a blank wall. And there are studies out there about all of the benefits to having art and how it can lower your blood pressure and relieve stress. And they're actually saying live longer when you get into aged people who are dealing with memory loss. So stimulating your brain. And again, that blank wall doesn't do that. But having something around you that you value, that concretizes your values, is just going to make your life that much better.
Excellent. I think our audience will agree with that. Being surrounded by beautiful art is something that uplifts the spirit. So then the question is then, what kind of art? I know that your galleries specialize in romantic realist art. So can you tell us a little bit about that and perhaps how you got started with romantic realism? Because in the 20th century, there were all these other different art movements like abstract art, pop art. Less said about those, the better. But how exactly did romantic realism emerge?
Well, romantic realism is just so wonderful. It's storytelling. It's visually appealing. There's no guesswork when you look at it. And in the 90s, this thing called the World Wide Web came out, and Quent was already painting and writing. And he said, this internet thing might turn out to be something. So he taught himself how to code, and he started putting his own artwork online and some artwork of friends. And to the best of our knowledge, it was the first online art gallery in the world. So he was paving the way for realism to make a comeback for artists like some of the ones behind me. The sculpture behind me is by Martin Eichinger. Artists who were creating beautiful art that was reminiscent of classic realism had very few places where they could show their art. And when they could find a place to show it, it was going to be amongst a lot of other things, right, that maybe didn't make sense or certainly didn't complement the art. So Quent built this sanctuary, originally in Burlingame, California, in a small, I think it was around, I want to say 900 square feet. And then eventually we broke down a couple of walls, moved into the next space. Then we grew again and we went to Napa, California. And then just building that desire for people who, when they come in the gallery, sometimes they're just blown away because they've never seen a consistent collection of things that they could enjoy for what they are. In fact, some of my favorite gallery guests are children because they haven't been told or taught that it's okay to spend $26 million on a blue board with a white stripe on it because someone told you that was art. But they come in here and they are just overjoyed with the things that represent positive life on Earth.
I know we said we didn't want to get too much into the technical details, but I just have one little historical question because it seems to me romantic realism is something that's emerged in a little more recent decades. Can you just say a word about classic realism and how that paved the way or created sort of a foundation for the work that your artists are doing?
Well, if you look at the works of, say, Bouguereau, for instance, right? So these are beautiful figurative pieces. He was enormously talented, highly valued in his time. And then, however long goes by, a century and a half goes by, and people wanted to be less committed to what they were seeing, right? So then we start getting twisted pieces of metal and blobs of paint and colors that maybe match the couch. And artists like that were only found in museums, or if you were really, really lucky, in the background of a really great movie on the wall somewhere. So being able to have those types of artists for inspiration, Han Wuxian comes to mind. So he is a contemporary artist. He paints absolutely exquisite figurative art and has on occasion been compared to Bouguereau in his style. So, the artists of today have to have something to inspire them, be it their imagination or favorite artists of the past. So, for instance, the painting behind me with the woman lying on the ledge, that's called Lunch Break. And Quent was very inspired by Maxfield Parrish. And there's a lot in that painting and in the two next to it, one which bears his poem, that have those beautiful gradient colors that Maxfield Parrish was popular for, in addition to his figures. But the larger painting is called Lunch Break, and the other is Evening Tree. So having those artists to look back on and be inspired by something. Some of our artists are inspired not only by what the classical realists were doing, but where their imaginations are taking them. Brian Larson, anybody who's a Brian Larson fan has seen some of his Tomorrow inspired pieces, but he too very inspired by Maxfield Parrish. So there were a lot of amazing artists, so many to mention. If you walk into a museum and you're looking at the Mona Lisa or the girl with the pearl earring, and you think of how valuable those paintings are and where art went. So our artists are doing their very best, and they're doing it very well, to bring realism back to the forefront of the art community so that we can all enjoy it. As far back as we know, cave drawings, right? They weren't squiggles. They were figurative. They were representational art. And so being able to be a part of this movement, to bring it back, to help people find it, brings my heart joy.
One of the things that often strikes me when I've been to art galleries in recent years is not just that a lot of the art is very bad. You mentioned twisted pieces of metal and things like that, but there's no consistency. A typical art gallery, you'll have some classic art side by side with modern or contemporary art, some beautiful art and some really ugly art. But I notice in your gallery, there's a kind of a consistency. Yes, you have sculptures and paintings by different artists, but it all seems to breathe a certain spirit. There seems to be a kind of a unity. Why is that so important?
It's important because our expectors collect it. We have only ever been a romantic realist gallery. And I know if I walk into a museum or gallery, often I'm going to have to walk past things that maybe I don't want to see, some of which are depressing or dark, and you're just not going to have that in either of our galleries. When you go to the website or you physically walk in the door, that you're going to have that consistent uplifting experience. And that's what we strive to produce every single day, a rewarding experience in the gallery that you walk out of here and you feel refreshed and uplifted. And so maybe you're not in the market for art, but maybe you just really need to see something beautiful.
And can you say a few words about how you got started with both of your galleries? A little bit of the history of your Napa, California gallery and your Jackson, Wyoming gallery.
Well, Napa was born out of the Burlingame Gallery, where Quent originally started. And then Jackson was born out of the Napa Gallery, much of it because of frustrations with government overreach during COVID and not being able to run our businesses the way we wanted to, and just absolutely loving the area here and realizing that positioning our galleries into major tourist destinations was going to put millions more eyes on the art, the work that the artists worked so hard to create, than being in a bedroom community. Burlingame was absolutely lovely, but people would come in the gallery, oh, this is gorgeous. Oh, wait, I got to go to the grocery or pick up the kids or, take the kids to soccer. And they didn't have the time to enjoy or experience it. People come in here, most of them are on vacation, and this is part of their vacation experience.
Now, Linda, you mentioned before we started that you visit both galleries regularly. You were just in California, I think the other day. Now you're in Wyoming. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do, your experience, looking after these two galleries, going back and forth, and some of the work you do with clients, with customers?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, a lot of frequent flyer miles, but we have so many responsibilities, right? From making sure that the floors are clean to making sure that the art is hung and beautifully displayed. And so I'm trying to pull back a little bit to where I can have staff that can take care of all of those things. And I can just make sure that everything is running smoothly, that the guests that come into our gallery are getting that quality experience that either they expect or frankly are surprised to get. I can't tell you how many times people tell me, your gallery is just so welcoming. You know, I go into other galleries and I don't feel welcome or I feel uncomfortable. We want everybody to come in and enjoy. That's what it's here for. And if they decide they have to have something, then absolutely we'll make it happen. We're not selling cars, we're matchmaking. This is a way for people to discover something really beautiful that they want to see every day. So when we talk about the importance of art, if for just a second, everybody imagines you're waking up in the morning and we all have, you know, kind of our routine. Maybe you reach for your glasses or your phone or water, but at some point your eyes are fluttering open. And the idea being, what's the first thing you see? What is the very first thing that you see when your eyes come into focus? Is it a blank wall? Is it the laundry that didn't get put away yesterday? Or is it a beautiful work of art that's going to set the tone for your day, that makes you realize, okay, this is a brand new day. It's time to get up and enjoy and find happiness everywhere I can. And this is a great start to it. And the same could be said for someone who's sitting at their desk. You've got 2-3 monitors in front of you, stacks of paper. You've been on the phone all day, appointments, what have you. When you stop to breathe and you look up from all of that, what do you see? Is it something that reminds you, okay, take a breath. This is good. My day is going to continue and I'm going to be productive and profitable. Maybe it's a Thomas Jefferson sculpture where you can actually read the Declaration of Independence. Maybe it's Brian Larson's Liberty and Justice or one of Quent's beautiful poems. It's something that says, okay, I can do this. I've got this, and I'm going to continue. So having these things around us that help us breathe, that lower our blood pressure, that make us look forward to the next minutes, right? The next hours, the next days. When you've had a long day at work and you come home, what do you see when you open that door, right? Is it a pile of mail and bills that you haven't gotten to? Is it a gorgeous sculpture that's turning, waiting for you, beautifully lit, that welcomes you home? And maybe it's both. Maybe you have the pile of bills next to the sculpture, but the sculpture reminds you, okay, I'm home now. And maybe I'm just going to go pour that glass of wine and sit in front of the fire. Oh, wait, there's another work of art up there. The bills will be there. The bills aren't going anywhere. But just those constant reminders of life as it can and should be.
Particularly like the metaphor you used of matchmaking. You think of yourself as a kind of a matchmaker between the painting and the prospective buyer. So let's talk a little bit about that process. How do you match the art lover, the art enthusiast with a particular painting, a particular sculpture? I know, for example, Nikos mentioned that he really loves that painting with the ship, with the poem. So how do you match the painting to the person? How does this matchmaking process work exactly?
Honestly, by getting to know your customer or your guest in the gallery, paying attention from everything from body language. You know, it's the old thing. I don't know if it was Zig Ziglar or who talked about it when you're in an interview. If your arms are closed, your body's closed versus your arms at your side, eye contact. Not everybody's in the market and not everybody's in the mood. But when you start talking about it and you find out a little bit about them, what they do for a living, where do they live, what kind of art do they already have? And then finding out what their favorite pieces in the gallery are. I don't know that I've ever been asked in an art gallery, what was your favorite piece? Who was your favorite artist in our gallery? It's just so simple. And yet I don't see anybody else doing it. And I've walked into, I can't tell you how many art galleries over the years, and some of them have made me uncomfortable, which is sad. But that welcoming atmosphere that we provide, and then, you know, maybe you find out that this woman was a ballerina in her day. And that actually happened in the gallery. There was a easily octogenarian in the gallery. She was admiring a sculpture. I walked over to see if I could help her, and she had tears in her eyes. And I said, "Oh my goodness, are you okay? Can I help you? Would you like to sit down?" She said, "No, this is just wonderful." And she was completely mesmerized by this ballerina sculpture. And took a second, and I said, "Were you a ballerina?" And she was. And she danced for a big ballet company in her day. And we had just the beginnings of a beautiful conversation. And then she stopped me and she said, I'm sorry to take up your time. She said, "I can't afford this." And I said, no, this is not about affording. I said, I went and got her a chair and I set the sculpture where she could sit and enjoy it. And she began to tell me about how beautifully and perfectly the sculptress had orchestrated everything. She said, "I have seen so many depictions of ballerinas in my day, and no one gets it right. This artist got it right." And I said, "Well, funny you should say that, because the artist was a ballerina." So we just had this beautiful exchange. I got to know her. And no, she wasn't going to be a customer, but to this day, it is one of my favorite exchanges in the gallery. And it's a beautiful story to tell. And there are many, many, many stories like that where we get to connect with people on levels, very intimate, personal levels. People bring their first dates into our gallery. What a litmus test for what someone really loves. And most of them go really well. There are stories of some that have not, where the person they brought in, this wasn't the place for them. And that's okay. It's not the place for everybody. Should be, but we recognize that. And I'm very sensitive to it. But building relationships with clients to where when we get a piece, I know to let them know, because I've gotten to know them and I can say, "We've got some new art and this is a piece I thought you'd really enjoy having, or this would make a great companion piece to the last work that you purchased from us." It really is matchmaking. It's on a wonderfully beautiful level, on being able to help people find and own things that they want to see every day. And at the end of the day, when you get home and you see something, I want you to remember, hopefully, the really wonderful experience you had with the art gallery where you purchased it from, whether it was ours or not.
And speaking of dancers, can you say a little bit about that sculpture right behind you there next to the lunch break?
That is Cross My Heart. That is a beautiful bronze casting. So we get a lot of questions in the gallery when people come in, what is this made out of? And I think that's another thing that we really pride ourselves on, is that we try to help educate people about the art that they're enjoying or that they might end up owning. And, when we were kids, Crayola, I blame Crayola for this, right? Big box of 64 crayons. And every one of those crayons had a name. Every color had a name. And sometimes it might be midnight blue or, carnation pink. Well, what color was the bronze crayon? It was brown. It was kind of a shiny brown. And it's kind of ironic because it's not really the color of bronze. When you see bronze come out of its mold, after the lost wax process, it actually has a much brighter gold tone to it. But as it ages naturally, so most of the sculptures that you see in parks are that brown color. And so that's probably where Crayola got their idea. But now the artists, through science, are actually able to faux age the bronze by applying chemicals and extreme heat and come up with any color combination they want. You go back to ancient Greece, they were painting the bronze, right? Because they didn't want that bright brassy color. And so if you go to the Smithsonian, you'll see bronzes where they've actually applied paint, a lot of the turquoise, which is very popular there, and especially the eyes. Eyes being one of the most difficult things for sculptors to achieve beautifully, and ours do. But this sculpture behind me is actually cast bronze. It comes in two sizes. This is the small one. It's about 21 inches tall. And it also comes in one about 38 inches tall. And it has a companion piece. The artist sculpted these beautiful dancers. The other one is called Bird in the Hand, where he's holding her up. And they're on rotating bases, but they are cast bronze. They're all limited editions. And that makes them forever pieces. So I am going to
looks like we have lost Linda, so just to give
Okay.
her time to come back, let me read the super chats.
Sure, thank you.
So first, thank you, Jonathan, for your super sticker. Thank you, Gail. Also, she sends a super sticker. Thank you, Apollo Zeus, another super sticker. And then we have 2 super chats from Robert. He says, and we have Linda back, so let me wait for her.
Well, sorry about that. That was my daughter calling in. Am I back?
Yes.
You're back. You're back.
I wasn't.
We're just finishing with the super chats.
Yes, so Robert says, this inspires me in so many ways, not least of which includes both objectivist artists and also artists from the wider creative world. This, for me, in analogous to objectivist place in the wider world, we are surrounded by values, the products of good, virtuous, creative people.
Thank you, Robert. And Daniel, you mentioned was there another super chat as well?
Those were 2 different super chats.
Okay, so we're just waiting for Linda to join us again, and then we can resume. I hope she joins us again. I was really looking forward to getting the tour.
Yes, she also offered us to give us a quick tour of the gallery. So that should be the last thing she does. So let's hope she rejoin us soon.
While we're waiting, Daniel, do you have any artwork at your place?
Linda is coming back.
Oh,
I have only one metal poster. It's from my favorite game, but hey, Linda.
Hey, sorry, that is my daughter. She was calling to share her ultrasound results with me, but I let her know that I am in the middle of something. So sorry.
Okay, well, how about we go to our last segment, which is the tour, the walk around tour. Would you be so kind as to show us around the gallery and tell us a little bit about some of your favorite paintings, some of your favorite sculptures?
I will. Let me get this set up. I sincerely apologize. I didn't know how to turn that off. I think because she was trying to FaceTime me, but I will be happy to take you around. I would love to know just a little bit more about what I missed. If we have a second, were you just doing super chats?
No, Daniel just read a couple of the super chats while you are out, so we can continue with the tour whenever you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 3 floors here in our Jackson, Wyoming location alone. I can walk around the first floor and the mezzanine where I'm at right now, where we're having our chat from. And I hope you enjoy what you see and hope it helps you understand, and that we've talked a little bit about the importance of art. When we get kids in here, we do the educational portions of it. The excitement of searching for a piece. And I had a couple of notes here. Being able to support your favorite artist is rewarding. And all of those things lend themselves to the importance, improving your critical thinking skills, brain speed, memory. All of those things can happen when you visit an art gallery. And again, whether it's ours or somebody else's, walking in and allowing yourself to just enjoy the art for what it is. So as I walk around, I hope that you'll see some things that you enjoy. And you guys can reach out to me anytime with questions. But this is the mezzanine level. You'll see some ballerinas behind me. I think that's what we were talking about when the phone call got interrupted. Sculptures and paintings. There'll be a Brian Larson painting here right behind me. That's called Light and Shadow. And as I turn around a little bit here, there's a section here with a lot of Michael Wilkinson acrylic. So those are going to be the only sculptures in the gallery that are not cast bronze. They're cast in acrylic, and they are the end of their collections because the foundry had to close. So anyone out there who loved Frederick Hart, Michael Wilkinson is now the preeminent sculptor in the world, casting in acrylic. So behind me, there'll be an alto relief sculpture by Bill Mack, the beautiful eagle behind me, the self-made men on the corner there, and you'll get to see the alley here in Jackson as I turn around. But the beauty behind that, or in front of that, is going to be that beautiful 92-inch tall sculpture in bronze called Taking Wing. Some of the sculpture in the gallery are available in 2 different sizes. Others are limited to what the artist has created. Right behind me now, there's a Nick Lakin. And this is interesting. These 4 drawings behind me, actually 5, if I move up just a little bit, are from one of our sculptresses who, because of just not being able to sculpt anymore, her hands don't work the way they used to, she's now drawing. And so she has shifted into beautiful drawings. I'm going to walk down the stairs, hopefully stay on my feet, and take you down to the first floor of the gallery, where you'll be able to see how many pieces are in here. So we've got still lifes, we have landscapes, we have artists from a lot of different places, most of them in the US. We have a couple of Ukrainian artists that we've been trying to help raise funds for, to help them get out of Ukraine. And I'm going to turn around and you'll see some of those behind me. We have an artist in Argentina. We have the wine bottles there, which you made mention of earlier when we were chatting. That's Thomas Arvid. We have all of his beautiful paintings on our website. And then what isn't there to like about a beautiful slice of watermelon or some pomegranates or oranges? Just beautiful accent pieces that maybe remind you of some of your favorite things, maybe your childhood, or maybe it's not somewhere where you live and you'd really love to enjoy some sweet watermelon. Local landscapes behind us. Our Jackson, Wyoming local landscape artist is also a mountain climber. And he does, I just realized I'm probably looking at the wrong, whoops, where'd you go? Lost you again. I was just trying to move the camera so I'd actually be looking at you. So he's a mountain climber, and a lot of his paintings are from the vantage point of where he is when he climbs mountains, including Everest, but these are all local Teton. And then one of my favorite artists here, Linda Mann, absolutely exquisite still life paintings. Every room of your house, you can put art anywhere you are. And that includes your children's room. We have Brian Larson paintings in one of our granddaughter's nurseries, and she wakes up talking about being an astronaut. So here are a couple of Brian Larson originals behind me. And this is the front door. We got a big, beautiful, there's another one that was Martin Eichinger that we were talking about. Got, let's see, a couple paintings there by the window. Don't worry, we have awnings over the window. Nothing's being exposed. And if you ever have a question about how to hang, frame, light, care for, insure, let me know. I mean, I really enjoy helping people learn how to take care of their art. It's pretty simple, but there are a few no-nos, and those are things we can help you with as well. And they're the kinds of things we're putting up on Facebook and Instagram to make sure that people know that it's not just about acquiring the art, but we want to make sure you know how to take care of it. And if you haven't done what I'm doing right now, and you haven't walked through your home with your little handheld computer and recorded all of your art and the other things in your home, do me a favor, do that today. Upload it to a cloud, because if you have an issue, Napa, we had fires and an earthquake. Try getting the insurance company to pay you if you don't have actual evidence that you own the art. And in a fire safes aren't a whole lot of good. In a big fire, they vaporize. So upload that stuff to a cloud and you'll be covered.
Yeah, since you mentioned protecting art, so you put art in your children's room. How do you protect the art, from an accidental crayon accident or something of the sort?
Well, I think first and foremost, if they grow up with it and they learn that that's something that they touch with their eyes, then it's probably not as much of an issue. Yes, accidents happen. And if you were really, really concerned, you could put it under glass, although we don't recommend it, again, particularly in a children's room. But she's never touched them. She just enjoys them. Playrooms, we have customers who have finished basements or just playrooms for their kids where they spend a lot of time. So having uplifting art there as well, that they maybe ask questions about, or a lot of our customers take their children to our websites when they can't come here, and they go through the art and they talk about it. When people come into the gallery with small children, we have something called the magic carpet, and I sit on the floor with the children and we talk about the art that they can see while their parents are enjoying the gallery. Or I've also helped a lot of children know that when they walk into a place like this, their hands go behind their back, their hands go in their pockets, and we look with our eyes. Now, there are sometimes exceptions to that. We have some white cotton gloves in the gallery, and when time permits, we like to do white glove tours where you actually get to touch the art and you get to experience with the sculpture how detailed they really are. You can feel details that you won't necessarily see with your eyes. And that's a really wonderful experience.
Oh, amazing. Linda, thank you so much for the tour. That was a real feast for the eyes and very educational as well. Now, I know Daniel has put the link to your website in the chat. Can you give us some more information about how viewers can find out more about your work, more about the gallery, and how they can order paintings, how they can get in touch with you?
Well, thank you so much for that. We like to think that we've done a very good job with the website, that it is extremely user-friendly, tons of information on every page, and it really is a clicker's delight because you can be there for a long time. So pour yourself something that you really enjoy. So whether you're sitting out by the pool or at your desk or on your work break, and as you go into the main page at cordair.com, we've arranged it where you see all of the artists we have on the front page. So there are 10 sculptors, there's 22 painters, actually 23 now with Holly. We were talking about that before, but there's just going to be little thumbnails there that are going to introduce you to their work. And those images will rotate. So when you go on the website multiple times, you may see a different image with that artist's name, but you can click on their name or click on any image and it's going to take you into their portfolio. And now you can see everything they have available. And then as you click on those images, it's going to open up one big page with all of the details so that you get to see, is it available? How much is it? What is the size? Or is it a limited edition? And you can just keep going and just keep going. You can always go back to the main page. We also add new additions to the main page. The main page has our address, our phone number. It will have a little bit of information about why we do what we do and what romantic realism is. And every page will also feature a guarantee. And I don't know any other gallery that does this. It'll tell you that if when you receive it, you didn't buy it in the physical gallery, you hadn't seen it in person, and you get it and you're not thrilled with it, we let you send it back. We give you 5 days to live with it and then you can send it back. No questions asked. So those types of things, our Club Cordair program is featured on the homepage. Put $50 a month away and then use that money when you're ready to have the art you want. We really have over 27 years tried to think of everything, but if there's something that we can do for you to help you enjoy your art experience, I help kids with their school projects, from little kids all the way up to college kids who are working on things. We really, really want you to enjoy the art. That's what it's about, the importance of art and why we do what we do. It's pretty evident when you go to the website, but until you experience it, until you know that this kind of art, until you live with a piece of art and you realize that you go into that room intentionally. You know how you walk into a room and you can't remember why you're there? Put a beautiful piece of art in that room and you will walk into that room to go see the art. And it won't matter what else is going on in your head because the art is that special. Just buy what you love. Don't let anybody talk you into anything. Buy it because you want to see it every day.
Well, I have been to your website a few times and it's quite extraordinary. Definitely the best art website that I've been to. I know I'll revisit it again and again, and I encourage all of our viewers to do the same. Linda, do you have any final thoughts before we conclude?
No, I just saw a message. Someone says, do we serve UK? We ship everywhere. That is one of the things that we have done since the very beginning. And in 27 years, we've developed some pretty amazing relationships with shipping companies that we're getting sometimes internationally. I get 60, 70, sometimes 80% off our shipping rates. And it's always something that you can ask. As long as intrastate commerce exists, when you are purchasing something and having it shipped to a location where that business does not have a location. So in our case, if you do not live in California or Wyoming, you don't pay any US sales tax. So, and that's a nice little bonus. I know they've been working on changing that for a long time, but so far intrastate commerce still exists. and we can ship you beautiful art without you having to pay the state. Again, fingers crossed. Now I've said it, it'll probably change. So go buy your art.
Fingers crossed. Daniel, do we have any final questions, comments from the audience, or super chats?
We have a super chat from Was Art, so thank you so much. And those are all the super chats, and no upcoming shows today, but we will be back tomorrow with another episode of the Daily Objective.
So
Okay.
if you are on Instagram, if you're keeping up with these wonderful shows, and do please subscribe. These people are doing amazing work. We're so proud to be a part and be a sponsor for some of them. There's a brand new Ayn Rand portrait out there that we are giving you $25 off, and we're donating $25 to Ayn Rand Center UK if when you purchase it from us, you mention the show. So it's on Twitter today. I think I put it on Instagram yesterday, and go out there and enjoy it. And if there's something we can do for you, like I said, I obviously love to talk about art. So if you do have questions, I'm your girl.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And thank you so much for sharing your love of art and your knowledge of art with us, and especially the tour, which I absolutely loved. To our viewers, thank you very much for joining us today. I look forward to seeing many of you at OCON in the next couple of days. Linda, thanks again for joining us. I hope we chat again soon. And again, best wishes to all of our viewers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day. And again, apologies for the interruptions, but I'm pretty excited to find out what she was calling about. And cheers.
Excellent. Thank you very much.